The paycheck is for 12 cents. A worker holds it in his hands. 2 weeks of work. 14 days cutting and fitting the mahogany panels that line Pullman sleeping cars. After rent is deducted, after gas, after water, the Pullman Palace Car Company owes him 12 cents. It is May, 1894. Outside, the model town gleams. The streets are paved. The lawns are trimmed. Every house has indoor plumbing, the most advanced sanitation system in America. 30 million bricks laid in perfect rows. 12,000 people living in what newspapers call an industrial paradise. But he cannot spend his 12 cents here. The company's store prices are 15% higher than Chicago. He cannot pray in his own church. The single, non-denominational building charges rent no congregation can afford. He cannot drink. The only bar serves executives at the Hotel Florence, named for the owner's daughter. He cannot leave. His lease allows eviction with 10 days' notice. No cause required. If he quits, he loses his home. If he's fired, he loses his home. If he complains, he loses his home. The town has no mayor, no city council, no elections. Every acre belongs to one man, who lives 14 miles north in a Chicago mansion. George Pullman built his workers the most modern plumbing in America. He gave them gas lighting, paved streets, a library, a theatre. He gave them everything except a deed. 12 cents. The water still runs. The sewers still function. The infrastructure is extraordinary. So why does a man with indoor plumbing feel like a prisoner? Chicago, 1879. The fastest growing city in America is also one of the deadliest. Your toilet is a wooden box suspended over a hole. You share it with 40 neighbors. The privy ratio in Packingtown is 1 for every 32 residents. Your drinking water comes from the Chicago River. So does everyone's waste. The numbers tell the story. 1860, 112,000 people. 1880, 503,000. 350% growth in 20 years. The infrastructure cannot keep pace. There is no comprehensive sewer system. Human waste runs in open gutters down unpaved streets. When it rains, the gutters overflow into basements where families sleep. Infant mortality in the tenement districts, 180 deaths per 1,000 live births. Almost 1 in 5 children dead before age 5. Typhoid fever is endemic. Cholera strikes in waves. The 1854 outbreak killed 1,424 people in weeks. The city keeps building. The city keeps dying. Housing a 12 by 12 foot room holds 6 to 8 people. Rent consumes 25 to 30% of a $1.50 daily wage. Workers pay for the privilege of slow suffocation. George Pullman watches this chaos from his mansion on Prairie Avenue. He is 48 years old. Net worth $7.5 million. He made his first fortune raising Chicago's buildings, literally jacking them up to install new foundations above the swamp. He knows how to rebuild a city from underneath. But Pullman is not looking at the sewage. He's looking at the railroads. 1877, the Great Railroad Strike. Workers in Martinsburg, West Virginia, refuse to move trains after another wage cut. The strike spreads. Pittsburgh burns. Federal troops deployed to 12 states. The conflict leaves over 100 dead. It is the largest labor uprising in American history. Pullman's workers live in the same neighborhoods as the strikers. They drink in the same saloons. They attend the same union meetings. They share the same grievances. His company turnover runs 15 to 20% annually. Skilled car makers, upholsterers, woodworkers. They can walk away. They can organize. They can strike. The official insight workers in degraded conditions produce degraded work. Clean housing creates clean labor. This is philanthropy. The actual insight workers who own property have something to defend. They build community. They organize. But workers who rent from the company, who buy from the company store, who can be evicted at the company's pleasure, they can be controlled. Pullman is not solving the housing crisis. He is solving the labor crisis. The solution is not higher wages. The solution is architectural. In 1879, he purchases 4,000 acres of empty prairie 14 miles south of Chicago. He will build a city there. Every brick will belong to him. Spring, 1880. Surveyors drive stakes into 4,000 acres of marsh and prairie. The land costs $800,000. Within 4 years, it will hold a city. Pullman hires Solon Spencer Beeman. The architect is 27 years old. He has designed Pullman's Chicago mansion. Now he will design everything else: houses, streets, factory, theatre, church, doorknobs. Nathan Barrett handles the landscape: 60 acres of parks, an artificial lake, flower beds maintained by company gardeners. The scope is unprecedented. The budget is $8 million. In 1880, this is enough to build a small city from nothing. The factory complex cost $1 million. Town infrastructure and housing $5 million. Public buildings $1.5 million. Water, gas, and sewage systems $500,000. Pullman expects 6% annual return on the entire investment. He calls it profitable benevolence. He will never achieve it. The actual return never exceeds 4.5%, but the shortfall is not the point. The control is. The sewage system comes first. This is the marvel. A complete underground combined sewer, the first comprehensive system for any American industrial town. While Chicago's waste runs in open gutters, Pullman's waste flows through buried pipes to a farm where it becomes fertilizer. Every house connects. Every house has indoor plumbing. This is not normal. In 1880, indoor plumbing for workers does not exist. Tenements have outdoor privies. Boarding houses have shared outhouses. Factory housing means a pump in the yard if you're lucky. Pullman installs flush toilets in row houses occupied by immigrant laborers. The technology gap is a generation. The water system draws from Lake Calumet. A tower holds between 200,000 and 500,000 gallons, depending on which source you trust. Pressurized pipes reach every building. Fire hydrants line the streets. The gasworks produce 500,000 cubic feet daily. Street lamps, home heating, cooking stoves. Every flame in town burns company gas, metered and billed by Pullman. Construction employs 1,000 to 1,500 workers at peak. They earn $1.50 to $2 per day. Standard wages for skilled labor. They are German, Irish, Swedish. They manufacture bricks on site, over 30 million of them, fired from Lake Calumet clay. Many of these workers will become Pullman residents. They are building their own future homes. They do not yet know they will never own them. By 1885, the town contains 1,800 residential buildings, 1,400 row houses for workers, 5 to 6 rooms each, brick construction. They cost $1,800 to $3,000 each to build. 150 executive homes for managers. These cost $8,000 to $10,000. The arcade building anchors the commercial district. $325,000. It contains shops, an 800-seat theatre, and a library. The Hotel Florence, named for Pullman's daughter, costs $100,000, 50 guest rooms, 1 bar, the only legal drink in town. The Greenstone Church costs $52,000. It is non-denominational. It will serve 12,000 people of every faith, or none. The streets run straight, no blind alleys, no hidden corners, but man designs for visibility. A foreman standing at one intersection can see 4 blocks in every direction. The architectural uniformity is deliberate. Every building announces its owner. This is not a neighborhood that grew. This is a system that was imposed. Beeman will later reflect on his design philosophy. The beauty was intentional, he says. Beautiful things are harder to criticize. The first residents arrive in January 1881. They walk into homes with gas lighting and flush toilets. They see paved streets and trimmed lawns. They see a theatre and a library and a park. They also see their lease. 10 days notice for eviction. No cause required. No purchase option. Every improvement they make belongs to the landlord. They have entered the most advanced worker housing in America. They will never own 1 square foot of it. By 1885, the town of Pullman is the showpiece of industrial America. Delegations arrive from Europe to study it. Journalists write admiring profiles. Economists debate whether this is the future of labor relations. At its peak in 1893, 12,600 people live here. 5,500 Pullman employees plus their families. The visitors see the infrastructure, the paved streets, the flower beds, the theatre. The residents see the paycheck. Here is how it works. A skilled worker earns $2 to $2.50 per day, $48 to $60 per month if he works every day. He never sees this money. Before the paycheck reaches his hand, the company extracts its share. Rent for a 5-room row house $9, smaller apartments run $8 to $8.50, gas $1.50, water 75 cents, library membership 25 cents. Total deductions $11.50. The worker receives what remains. $36 to $48 if he works full-time. Most months, he does not. The rent is 15 to 25% higher than comparable Chicago housing. A similar row house costs $6 to $8 in the city. But the city does not deduct rent before you see your wages. The city lets you fall behind. The city lets you negotiate. The city lets you disappear. Pullman collects approximately $200,000 annually in rent. His profit margin on housing runs 6 to 10%. The benevolence pays for itself. But the extraction is not the point. The information is, the company knows exactly what every worker earns. The company knows exactly what every worker saves. The company knows who is accumulating money to leave and who is trapped. The paycheck is a surveillance system. Every 2 weeks, Pullman audits his workforce. The inspectors complete the picture. They arrive unannounced. They check the yards for proper maintenance. They check the interiors for cleanliness. They check the bookshelves. The official function is property upkeep. The actual function is intelligence gathering. Who attends meetings? Who receives visitors? Who subscribes to labor newspapers? The company maintains detailed files on every resident family. This is scientific management of labor, complete visibility into workers' lives. The lease makes the consequences explicit. 10 days notice. No cause required. A worker can be evicted for any reason or no reason. Lose your job, lose your home, complain too loudly, lose your home, attend the wrong meeting, lose your home. In Chicago, tenants have 30 days. In Pullman, you have 10. The institutions reinforce the architecture. The Greenstone Church is the only house of worship for 12,000 people. It is non-denominational. Every congregation must pay rent to use it. The result is predictable. No denomination can afford regular services. The church sits mostly empty. Polish Catholics request permission to build their own parish. Denied. Swedish Lutherans request the same. Denied. The ethnic church is more than a place of worship. It is a community center, a meeting hall, an organizing node. Pullman understands this. He has designed a town where workers of different backgrounds cannot form separate institutions. They must remain atomized, dependent. Many travel 14 miles to Chicago for Sunday Mass. The saloon prohibition follows the same logic. 0 bars in Pullman, 0 except 1. The Hotel Florence serves alcohol to executives and visiting businessmen. The prices are set for professionals. Workers cannot afford them and would not be welcome if they could. A worker seen drunk in public can be fired and evicted. The man who builds mahogany panels for luxury sleeping cars cannot buy a beer in the town where he lives. But the executives who sell those sleeping cars can drink in a hotel named for the owner's daughter. The library charges $3 annual membership, 1.5 days' wages for a skilled worker. The book collection is curated by the company. No radical literature. The Chicago Public Library, founded 1873, is free. Even knowledge has a price. Even knowledge has a filter. Before 1889, there is no government. Pullman is unincorporated territory, no mayor, no city council, no elections, no votes, municipal services, fire, sanitation, security are performed by company employees. Property taxes are minimal because the town has avoided incorporation. George Pullman explains the arrangement to a reporter. We govern them in the same way a man governs his house, his store, or his workshop. Economist Richard Ely visits in 1884. His assessment is published in Harper's Monthly. The idea of Pullman is un-American, he writes. It is a benevolent, well-wishing feudalism which desires the happiness of the people, but in such way as shall please the authorities. Feudalism. The word hangs in the air. Here is a population of 8,000 souls, Ely continues, where not one single acre is owned by any resident. One feels that one is mingling with a dependent, servile people. The flowers are beautiful, the streets are clean, the toilets flush, and no one can say no. Summer, 1893. The World's Columbian Exposition opens in Chicago. 27 million visitors walk through the White City. They see electric lights. They see gleaming facades. They see the future. 14 miles south, the model town is starving. The Panic of 1893 is the worst economic collapse in American history. Unemployment reaches 18 to 20% nationally. 150 railroads declare bankruptcy. Pullman Palace Car Company orders drop 75%. George Pullman responds with mathematics. The workforce shrinks from 5,500 to 3,300. Wages fall 25 to 40%. A skilled worker earning $2.50 per day now earns $1.50, but rent stays the same. Pullman explains the logic. Real estate and manufacturing are separate investments. Each must pay its own way. The stockholders will not sanction a gift of company assets to certain employees. The paychecks tell a different story. One worker receives a paycheck for 12 cents, another receives 7, another receives 2. After rent, gas, and water are deducted, this is what remains. Thomas Heathcote, chairman of the strike committee, will later testify, "We do not know what the outcome will be, and in fact we do not care much. We do know that we are working for less wages than will maintain ourselves and families in the necessaries of life." Jenny Curtis, a seamstress who will help lead the strike, testifies that her father's wages are garnished below subsistence. The math is simple. $1.50 per day, 12 days of work in a slow month, $18 gross, rent $9.50, gas $1.50, water 75 cents, total deductions $11.75, net pay $6.25. For 2 weeks. If you work every available day, most do not. Hundreds of workers receive paychecks under $1. The company extracts rent for housing. The company extracts payment for utilities. The workers receive what remains. Sometimes it is pennies. A worker testifies before the Federal Commission. "We are born in a Pullman house, fed from the Pullman shops, taught in the Pullman school, catechized in the Pullman church, and when we die, we shall go to the Pullman hell." May 11, 1894. 3,000 Pullman workers walk out. They have joined Eugene Debs and the American Railway Union. The company refuses to negotiate wages. The company refuses to reduce rent. There is nothing left to discuss. June 26. The ARU announces a nationwide boycott. No union member will handle any train pulling a Pullman car. 125,000 railroad workers join across 27 states. Rail traffic stops from Chicago to the Pacific Ocean. The federal government intervenes. The pretext Pullman sleeping cars carry United States mail. The boycott interferes with Federal Postal Service. July 2nd, a federal injunction orders strike leaders to stand down. July 4th, President Grover Cleveland deploys federal troops to Chicago. By the end of the conflict, nearly 12,000 soldiers, federal troops and state militia combined, occupy the city. The situation turns violent between July 4th and 7th. Rail yards burn. Confrontations between workers and soldiers leave 30 dead and 57 wounded. Property damage reaches $80 million nationwide. July 10th. Eugene Debs is arrested for violating the injunction. By August, the strike collapses. Workers return under the original terms. Nothing has changed, but something has changed. The federal government convenes a commission to investigate. The commissioners tour Pullman. They interview workers. They question George Pullman himself. Their findings are devastating. The aesthetic features are admired by visitors. They write, but the residents want to get away from them. The rent policy is un-American. The theory that such towns benefit workers is not supported by the Pullman experience. Pullman's conduct is arbitrary and autocratic. George Pullman dies October 19, 1897. Heart attack. He is 66 years old. He does not live to see the final verdict. 1898. The Illinois Supreme Court rules in Attorney General versus Pullman Company. A corporation cannot own an entire town. Combining employer and landlord power is incompatible with the rights of citizenship. The Pullman Company must sell all non-industrial property within 5 years. It is the first major legal limitation on the company town model in American history. George Pullman is buried at Graceland Cemetery in Chicago. His family fears his grave will be disturbed. The coffin is wrapped in tar paper, placed inside a room of poured concrete, covered with asphalt, reinforced with steel railroad rails, and sealed beneath 8 feet of additional concrete. The man who built a total environment for his workers is sealed inside a total environment of his own. The cage builder has become the caged. The Pullman Company begins selling houses in 1898. The divestiture takes 9 years. Many workers buy their former rentals. Some buildings go to outside investors. By 1907, the company retains only the factory and rail yards. Chicago provides water, sewage, fire protection, police. The model town becomes a neighborhood. The Pullman Company survives its founder by 84 years. 1927 merger into Pullman Incorporated. The sleeping car business continues. Pullman porters become icons of African-American labor history. 1968. The last Pullman-operated sleeping car service ends. 1981. The last Pullman passenger car rolls off the line. The experiment is over. The logic is not. George Pullman made a mistake. He made his ownership visible. Deeds, leases, eviction notices. The architecture of control was legible. When the system turned predatory, everyone could see who held the power. His successors learned to make control invisible. 1906. United States Steel builds Gary, Indiana. They construct worker housing. Then they sell it. Workers own their homes. They hold deeds. They pay mortgages. But the town has one employer. If the mill closes, property values collapse. You own your house. You cannot sell it. The dependency migrates from lease to paycheck. 1914. Henry Ford establishes the sociological department. Inspectors visit worker homes. They check for cleanliness. They check for moral conduct. They check for signs of union activity. Ford does not own the houses. He does not need to. He owns the $5 day. The surveillance continues without the real estate. The 1920s are the peak. Approximately 2,500 company towns operate across America. Coal, textiles, lumber, steel. Many are far more brutal than Pullman. Scrip wages that can only be spent at company stores. Armed guards at town borders. The deadly Matewan confrontation of 1920. Company towns do not die with Pullman. They multiply. They decline with the New Deal, labor legislation, unionization, the post-war boom. By the 1960s, most company towns have disbanded or sold. The model appears obsolete. It is not obsolete. It is evolving. The tech campus is the company town minus the housing. Google offers free meals, free gyms, free dry cleaning, free childcare, free shuttle buses. The benefits are real. The function is architectural. If everything you need is on campus, why leave the workday expands? The boundary between employment and life dissolves. You do not live in a company town. You live in a company schedule. The surveillance is scaled. Pullman's inspectors carried clipboards. They checked bookshelves. They noted visitors. Modern employers monitor Slack messages, email, badge swipes, keystrokes, mouse movements, facial expressions on video calls. The 1880s clipboard has become the 2020s algorithm. Surveillance at scale. The exit clause has generalized. 49 states operate under at-will employment. Workers can be terminated without cause. No reason required. No notice guaranteed. This is Pullman's 10-day eviction clause applied to the job itself. You do not lose your house when you lose your job. You lose your health insurance, your retirement contributions, your identity. The dependency has shifted from housing to benefits, from rent to coverage. The cage has new walls. Pullman, Illinois survives. The 1960s bring a demolition threat. Industrial development wants the land. 1969, the Pullman Historic District is established, one of the first labor history sites in America. 1991, the Hotel Florence becomes a National Historic Landmark. February 19th, 2015. President Obama designates Pullman a national monument. 900 original buildings still stand. Families live in the row houses. Tourists visit the clock tower. The National Park Service operates a visitor center in the old administration building. The monument preserves the architecture. It cannot preserve the feeling of waking in a house you beautified but never owned. Walking streets you paved but never governed. Knowing the man who built your toilet also decided whether you could speak freely in your kitchen. The feeling of total design, someone else's design. Pullman's ghost is not in the bricks. It is in every employee handbook that says at-will employment, every apartment lease that prohibits organizing, every corporate shuttle that makes leaving campus unnecessary, every algorithm that measures productivity by the keystroke, every benefit package that chains workers to employers they would otherwise leave. The company town failed in 1894. The model proved unstable, the control too visible, the contradiction too sharp. So why do we keep rebuilding it? The row houses still stand on Champlain Avenue. Brick facades, limestone trim, original windows in some units. Families live there now. They own their homes. They vote for their aldermen. They drink where they please. The infrastructure endures. The sewers Pullman built still carry waste. The streets Beeman designed still run straight. The water flows, but infrastructure is never neutral. Every pipe has an owner, every system has a logic, every design encodes a relationship between the people who build and the people who use. George Pullman built his workers the most modern plumbing in America: hot water, flush toilets, pressurized pipes, a sanitation system that put Chicago to shame. He just never let them own the pipes.